Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonja Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All right, good evening. Good evening. Jay Train and I are back with you for another edition of NFL Download. Hello, everyone. How are you all? Good evening and Merry Christmas week. Jay Train?
Merry Christmas week to everybody and happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, happy everything. Whatever it is you celebrate, we're here for it. And we are so excited to give you some scores tonight, especially some of the ones I know my co-host right now is ready to rub some things in. So we will get down. And as a matter of fact, I am a person who, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. So we'll get started with her favorite team we all know is the Carolina Panthers. Went to overtime against the Arizona Cardinals, and they won in a thriller. I mean, we're talking Chuba Hubbard scoring 2 touchdowns and I knew he probably would get 100+ yards. He bounced back a little bit because the Cardinals have been giving up 4.5 yards per carry. So he smelt the blood in the water. He ate it, and he got 21 yards in that overtime and finished off the thriller. What do you think about that game?
I mean, when you just gave all the stats, I think you are a low-key Panthers fan. Let's be clear, because you broke that down more than what I could possibly break it down. And I'm just sitting here like, we got the dub. Another nail biter. This was a glimpse of the cardiac cats that we've seen so many times in previous seasons. And we've had a lot of nail biters this season as well to come up close and this time get it done. The finale at home, the grand finale at home, live from Bank of America. And with that win, we eliminate the Cardinals from playoff contentions. Especially because the Rams won earlier. So with their win and the Cardinals' loss, they are now officially out. And so, so sorry, Kyler Murray. This was a battle of the 5'10" quarterbacks, the shortest king, as they call it, tournament. Both quarterbacks 5'10", both Heisman Trophy winners. Both a lot of things in common. In fact, their comparisons were very similar, including their yards, their pass rate, all that, even coming into this game. And Arizona has been playing in very good ways several times. And then this particular game, we actually felt like it would be the same equivalent of that. But fortunately for my Panthers, it was not. And so we got it done in overtime. Chuba Hubbard, the main star of the game. Shout out to Jadeveon Clowney as well with that defense. They had a defensive turnover that kept the momentum going when it counted the most. Two things about this game, Jay Train, that I really had an issue with. Number one, Eddie Pinheiro has got to go. Don't be surprised if he is no longer the kicker after this season. And I say that with all sincerity because about 4 or 5 weeks ago, he went into this game as the top-rated kicker in the league. And from that point, once the announcer announced that, Eddie P was missing like at least 2 field goals every single game. And he's missing them when they counted. I'm not saying that the game could have heavily weighed on him, but this particular game, it was the same situation. Eddie P missed a pivotal field goal, which kept the Cardinals in range. They came back, though, y'all, from 20-3. Like, we had a huge advantage. I thought this game was just going to take off lights out. And because the Panthers allowed the Cardinals to come back, unfortunately, if you bet on the point spread, then you still won because it was still – well, actually, no. We got it by 6. So you lost. So I think I had somebody on the show. It might have been UJ Train today that said somebody said the Panthers game, and they said they had the Cardinals. by the point spread, and so they're wrong. Okay, and I try to tell y'all, I was not even bet on that game because I felt like it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, because of that, that's the situation that we're in right now. The fact that we didn't know, but Chuba Hubbard, Jalen Coker getting big passes, Adam Thielen, crucial catch when it counted most, and a one-handed touchdown as well. Tommy Tremble and a whole lot, and Bryce getting out of the pocket, running for a 34-yard run to get the first down in the very beginning of the game, and just kept that momentum going. Only one crucial mistake by him. No turnovers again. Bryce looking like a solid contender. For those people who thought that we messed up a draft pick, no, we did not. We do not honestly care about drafts because we still owe Chicago a pick next year, and we can let them have whatever. And we've picked up a draft pick from Baltimore with the Deontay Johnson trade, which coincidentally, Deontay Johnson has now been released because he's refused to take the field or practice field with Baltimore. So easy peasy for us, the fact that we got a trade out of it, and Baltimore has nothing from it. So shout out to the Panthers. Congrats. And Jay Trey, thanks for letting me go on for at least 2 minutes on that one. Shout out, keep pounding. We have Tampa Bay Sunday on the road, and then followed by the first game of the 2025 part of the season in January against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. I'm hoping to win out because both of those are divisional rivals. May not on Sunday, depending on if Baker actually plays himself or if they're going to rest their starters. But they probably won't since Atlanta won today and is hot on their heels, even with Michael Penix Jr. And I know we'll talk about that game shortly. And yeah.
I mean, look, Sonja, the Cardinals never led. I mean, they were either behind or finally came at the end of the game. They tied the game, but they never led the game. You guys just kept momentum going your way. And Bryce Young threw for 158, 2 TDs, 1 INT, and he ran for 68 yards in a rush TD. So he had a lights out game. Kyler Murray, similar, I mean, but just not in the winning effort. I mean, Kyler Murray, 202 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT, 63 rushing yards and a rush TD. And even James Conner got in the mix. So both your quarterbacks and your running backs were keeping your teams afloat. But the Panthers was driven by determination to win this game, and they did. Hats off to the Carolina Panthers, and I think they do have their franchise quarterback, which I thought in the beginning. I don't know what happened this season at the beginning, and I just think that it was something that was in his head. You could see that he didn't have his confidence. He sat down, took it like a man, took it a knock on the chin like a man, and was humiliated. But in all humility, he got back in there. And he's doing his thing. I mean, you guys, the record shows that you're 4-11 now. But with that said, as you said earlier in the Big Football Show, that you look like a team that's played some very close games. You don't look like a 4-11 team. You look like you probably could win some games if 1 or 2 plays would have gone your way.
And those 2 games, we've won 2 games additional than we did last year. So we've doubled. And to true form, I'm wearing my Bryce Young jersey. Just want to let you all know I'm repping him true to form tonight. So, yeah.
All right. And speaking of rookie quarterbacks, well, he's no longer a rookie quarterback, but young quarterbacks. We're going to move right along to a quarterback that made his debut in Atlanta. We're talking about the Michael Penix Show beginning today. And the Kirk Cousins exit, soon to be, most likely from Atlanta. Atlanta blew out the lowly Giants, New York Giants, football Giants. Sorry, Mac. And I really hate to see you go through again, continue to get well. And we're glad you came back today. But sorry about your Giants, man. Defense of Atlanta got away with 2 pick sixes, man. And they went straight to the end zone, won by the defensive end, and of course Bates. And he's having another stellar year. He's probably gonna be all pro again. But Michael Penix Jr., Sonja, let's talk about him, man. My man, his debut, he threw for 200 yards, no touchdowns or interception, but his poise as a quarterback looked like he was just there, just dissecting and looking and checking different reads, and he's playing like a savvy veteran. And again, he didn't score any touchdowns, but he had the help of his running back, Bijan Robinson, rushed for 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Darnell Mooney was right there. And his ball seemed to be on point. He looks like the Michael Penix from college. like he just made an easy transition from the college to the NFL, and they won 34-7. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, 34-7 was incredible. I actually did not think that game was going to be lights out like that because I thought Michael Penix Jr. would be actually trying to acclimate to being on the field for the first time, full time. We've seen some glimpses of him here and there throughout the season, just little points here and there. But he clearly has been practicing, with his team off field because they seem like they just came out lights out from the beginning. They seem like they worked really well together. They were cohesive, they were a unit, and they were in sync. And even though he didn't make any touchdowns himself, I mean, he didn't make any critical errors. I will say there was one pass that he passed to Kyle Pitts that got popped out. Kyle should have known better than to not secure that ball closer in. That's not Kyle Pitts' first time having such a horrible catch and a drop or a loss of the control of the ball within the same motion. It's not the first time this season. So Falcons fans have been very vocal about their unhappiness with Kyle Pitts at this time, but especially now. But it is the Giants. Let's keep this all in regards. We're talking about the New York Giants football team who has won 2 games this entire season. I don't even remember who the 2 teams were that they beat. That's how far removed it has. I think that might have been week 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. That's like so long ago to us that it's literally like, who were they? And so I don't know if we can actually bank on, oh, wow, this is Michael Penix. I mean, it's a great entrance. That was a great team to bring him into to play and make his debut. I'm glad, they didn't try to bring him in with, say, the Chiefs. That might have been crucial because the Chiefs defense or any team that has a solid defense could have been the opposite effect. But I think a quarterback is only as good as the pieces that are surrounding him. And we always talk about how Atlanta already had their offensive weapons lined up. They were just missing the quarterback. And they still are missing the quarterback. And for all intents and purposes, this was Michael Penix Jr.'s debut. We still are really not solid because it's so many weeks that have already expired during this season. I don't think we're going to really, even when Michael Penix Jr. plays the next game and the finale, unless he plays like one of these games that's just blowout, I'm not 100% sold. And let's be clear, the Panthers game that we're going to be playing, we normally split with them anyway, but the Panthers could go either way. They could play good like they did today, or they could play like they did last week against Dallas, and we just get run all over. So even that game is not an accurate measure of who he is. I don't recall offhand who they have next week. I think they may have Washington, the Commanders. They're going to be facing Dan Quinn, their former head coach. Most of that team, let's be honest, is already gone. That was under Dan Quinn's leadership. But for the most part, it's still Atlanta. It's still a familiar team for him. And so I think that game is going to be a good indicator of, is Michael Penix Jr. the actual franchise quarterback? Because number one, he's playing a good team. And number two, Jaden Daniels himself is also a rookie with him. They came in the same class together. And Jaden Daniels himself has been playing lights out. So that's my thoughts on that game and the whole Michael Penix Jr. debut.
Well, I do have one more question about Michael Penix Jr. for you, and I want to kind of put something out here and then see what you think about it. Look, there's been a lot of speculation, not speculation, but a lot of talk early on about what type of pick this was. Why would you select another quarterback when you invested money in a quarterback coming from Minnesota? We talked about this earlier today, and again, this is ad nauseum, probably throughout the season. Still talking about a guy that was sitting on the bench, waiting in the wings, and likely being an older quarterback. Why would you select a guy that's older, injury prone, and probably won't get a chance to play if Kirk Cousins is going to be successful? He's probably got another 2 or 3 years here. But no one could have predicted, besides yourself. You mentioned that you thought Kirk Cousins wasn't going to make it throughout the season. But no one could have really predicted that Kirk Cousins would last this long or have such a breakdown. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that he would not throw any touchdowns in the latter part of the season and throw that many interceptions, as accurate as he is or has been during the regular season. With that said, Michael Penix Jr. was the number 8 overall selection. What do you think the future is for him going forward at this point now? And what does this mean for Kirk Cousins. Is he out fully next year? Because again, remember we mentioned earlier on the Big Football Show that $10 million is owed to him by the I guess by the deadline of when it's time to let somebody go in March. Yes, by either the trade deadline or when you have to let somebody go. $10 million will be owed to him. He's already collected $90 million. Again, he's robbing banks. He's got his mask on. He's going throwback to Jesse James and Billy the Kid. He's robbing stagecoaches because man, $90 million is a lot to take for 1 year, for one whole year, not even a whole season. He's not even playing the whole season, and most of it was, I mean, the latter part of it was pretty bad. So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to let Kirk Cousins go, and this begins the Michael Penix Jr. show, or are they going to keep him and try to continue to guide Michael Penix along?
I feel like for me, Kirk Cousins did play the majority of the season. We're down to the last 3 weeks, 2 now that game is over with. And he's played all the other games. So his money is due to him, no matter what his performance was. They owe the man the money. I was trying to think of the team that we saw a veteran come in. I guess it would kind of be akin to when Russell Wilson was with, he's with Pittsburgh. And for a little bit, we saw Justin Fields play. We started the season off. It looked like a drama fest, but now we see Russell play. I would like to think that with all that money that they spent, that Atlanta would do the same. In fact, today, let's just go back. We remember when Kirk Cousins first found out that they were drafting a quarterback. They literally called him from the draft, like, "Hey, by the way, you're going to see it on TV. We're about to take a quarterback." And he literally said he was surprised. Like everybody was, like Falcons fan, everybody in the world that saw that was like, "What? You're paying him like I think it's $140 million." And I thought a lot of that was guaranteed. So that's my second part of that. Like, if this is guaranteed, so you're not just getting $90 million for this season. You might not get that bonus, but you can go home in March and collect the rest of this money. Like Monopoly, pass go. I'm sitting down, and I already got my money. Like, I'm done. And so I want to say that. But then another part of me is like, please, Atlanta, don't be that unintelligent. I'll say that. Don't be that unintelligent to waste such a big investment. Flip-flop the role. Let Kirk still be there, kind of like Andy Dalton was with Carolina. Let him still be there. Let Michael Penix do his thing. Be there as the backup. At this stage of your career, it's probably you are having an abysmal performance at a minimum. So for you to do that, everybody can't get the spark reignited like Russell Wilson has been right now. And it comes down to the team. If you've been to 2 teams and you see that it's a gradual decline, then it's probably time for you to kind of accept the backup role and just keep your coins coming. Just enjoy getting dressed up and not having to get dirty on game day and just being on standby in case you're needed. Now, they could go in a whole different direction, and I think that would be foolish because that would mean you still don't really have your quarterback position solidified. Because say they do get rid of Kirk Cousins and all you have is Michael Penix Jr. and they got like some third stringer that nobody ever knows who his name is. And so then what happens if Michael Penix Jr., God forbid, gets re-injured? Or his performance starts, sucking. Because I think the whole problem is these big commitments are made premature of the performance of what these players actually look like. I know in the beginning it's a gamble anyway, but that's why they get rookie contracts. They don't come in making millions of dollars off the rip because they're acclimating from the college into the NFL. So if that's already happening, there's no way for them to be able to say, okay, we're forking out money like this. Now, I mean, let's be clear. Arthur Banks does have long money, like old, as they say, old money. When you have old money, that's like you just got money for forever. You got the U.S. Mint in your backyard. But I just don't see them doing that. And for the other reason, it's going to really start working on the morale of the team. Once you're going through that many quarterbacks, it just at some point starts to weigh on the morale of the team because now you got to start making plays around this specific player and what their capabilities are. And it could just kind of decline the potential of other players around.
Okay, yeah. Look, I think they're going to probably, my opinion, they're going to let him go before the deadline and next season. Next offseason, excuse me. And they're going to get maybe a bridge quarterback, somebody to come in, and it's probably not even going to be a bridge quarterback, somebody compete with Michael Penix, but mostly to back him up. Because I think at this juncture, you got the rookie. If he continues to show that he can do this, what he just did against the Giants, let's be honest, the Giants defense didn't really show much all season. So I want to see what he can do against a really good, formidable defense. And if he shows that he can hold his own, then he'll probably get the opportunity to start the game next season out the gate, and he'll pick somebody in the offseason to back him up. But let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's go to the Commanders versus the Eagles. From one rookie to another. This one, particularly Jaden Daniels, is likely the offensive rookie of the year. A man threw 5 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions, but he balled. The Eagles unfortunately lost Jalen Hurts and he went to a concussion protocol. He's probably going to be out for the foreseeable future, maybe 1 or 2 games. And that really hurts them because right now, they lost this game 33-36. They're 12-3 now. So you're fighting with Minnesota. You're fighting with Detroit for that number 1 seed. And if you lose these games, this is first of all, like Pags, you talked to him earlier, you threw a little shot at him about him losing this game. I know he's not happy because this really has some serious implications about getting that first seed. And even though they could probably play well to travel, they've been winning all these games straight. I think it matters to have your guy that leads the helm, your quarterback, and it matters to try to get that number 1 seed so you get that bye and get rested up and get your players ready for the playoffs and potentially the Super Bowl. This is pretty bad for right now because they got a couple more games coming up that might be pretty tough for them too. I can't look at it right now and see who they're playing, but all these games matter at the end of the season for this tight race with, like I said, with the Vikings and with Detroit. But what do you think? I know you may have watched some of this game. How do you think it went?
So, first of all, let me just put it out there. I didn't even realize when I texted at the time because I didn't watch this game. My game was a nail biter within itself, and I didn't know how the Commanders had pulled it off. I was just like, wow, they pulled it off. I didn't know until after the fact that they had, lost Jalen Hurts. Like, no one wants your main star. No one wants any player to get hurt. But Jalen Hurts, oh my God, I definitely had to be concussed at this time of year as well. And you could just, I saw the clip. He looked absolutely shaky, so I hope he gets better soon. You cannot, this is one of those things kind of goes back to when Damar Hamlin had his episode and people were so focused on, oh, well, what do they do now? What do the playoffs look like now? Hey, this dude is fighting for his life. At the end of the day, health trumps anything else because with your health is your wealth. Like, seriously, if you don't have health, no amount of money, no amount of wins, none of that will matter. And in the NFL, we say it's not for long. They will just go get somebody else to replace you. I personally think that Saquon was still playing, in a very formidable way for them to get this win. I think this just came down to I don't even think it was Jalen Hurts that cost. The game was still very close. I feel like it was just the Commanders played a better game. And they actually have another NFC matchup coming up. They got to play the Cowgirls. The Cowgirls are coming to them on the 29th at 4:25. And then they close their season out with the Eagles. With the Giants. So they got 2 other NFC contenders that have absolutely nothing to lose. They're playing both of their bottom, I almost said it, the bottom B of their division. The Eagles are playing the Cowboys, and then they're going to be playing the Giants. They're at the bottom of the division. Like, those 2 teams have nothing to lose. So they're going to be aiming for them. And if Jalen Hurts is out, like, people are going to blow it up if they lose. But it's the fact that they're losing because, their commander-in-chief is out. Jalen Hurts, their leader, is out.
I agree with you right there. I agree that Jalen Hurts does matter. I think this game took a turn for the worse. Look, if when you have the option to run and throw the ball, which I think Jalen Hurts gives you, and Kenny Pickett does not, just like Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels threw for 258, 5 TDs, but he also ran for 81 yards. Jalen Hurts is that similar style quarterback. he gives you it happened. The concussion happened on a run play when he ran for like 22 yards. That element of the game changed the position of this game. Now, mind you, Saquon Barkley rushed for 150 yards, 2 TDs, but one of those plays was the bulk of that. They end up shutting him down pretty much after one big run. And, Pickett threw for 143 and 1 TD and 1 interception. But Kenny Pickett, let's not kid ourselves. Kenny Pickett was a first-round bust coming out of Pittsburgh to play for the Steelers, and he got traded away the next season. So
Yeah,
that's
I didn't even know where he was. I was like, who? Kenny who? Pick him up, Pickett.
Yeah, exactly.
Here for a game of pickup. That's it.
Right. And look, he's not the guy to really back up Jalen Hurts. I mean, obviously, he's playing the backup role for a reason. But I think this really hurts them in the next couple of games because unless they have a game plan for Kenny Pickett to be able to sustain these next two games and get 2 wins because they're going to need them.
I mean, can't they call Nick Foles up? Pags, y'all got Nick Foles. Call him up out of hunting somewhere. Carson Wentz is not available this year. He's down in the West playing for somebody's backup.
He's the Chiefs' backup.
Yeah, Chiefs.
So
maybe y'all
he's trying to win another championship.
Right.
Well, let's move on to the next game. We got the Bengals versus the Browns. Who they? Not who that, like New Orleans, but it's who they. And who they is the team that has one of the best offenses with one of the worst defenses. But the defense the past couple of games have not been giving up many points, and albeit by 2 teams that are under 500. But they won 24-6 in this game. And Joe Burrow's doing Joe Burrow things, throwing 252 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. Jamar Chase, 97 yards, 1 TD. T. Higgins, 58 yards, 1 TD, and Chase Brown ran for 91 yards. That offense is just lighting things. They are always on fire. It's just that their defense gets burnt. They seem to be getting caught on fire. But they've been holding up these past couple of games. Like I said, Jameis Winston, on the other hand, was on the bench, and Dorian Thomas Robinson got to start, and he had a whole hum game, but not enough to do anything to make themselves significant against the Bengals. What do you think about what the Bengals are doing, and is it too little, too late? They're now 7-8, and they still have some inkling of a playoff hope, but it's very slim. Do you think they have an opportunity to get to the playoffs?
Yeah. So I mean, the Bengals, the quarterback Joe Burrow. I'm an AFC. Everybody know I've been rolling with the Bengals for about 12 years now. Trust me, I really have. Joe Burrow is the first quarterback in NFL history with 250 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in 7 consecutive games. So he's playing lights out all by himself. Their coach is basically coming out saying, "Hey, we need the crowd to show up next week. We need them to show up next Saturday. It's a party in the jungle." They got a lot of stuff going down with them. They're talking about their kicker. The kicker from the Browns, Dustin Hopkins, missed his lone kick in the loss. I mean, I don't know if a kick would have really made that much of a difference overall with a 6-24 score. But I mean, this thing is just off the chain. They even had like a pizza contest where a Bengals fan won an entire stadium free pizza. Like the whole stadium got free pizza because of this field goal. It was a 40-yard field goal that they banked on, and as a result, the entire stadium got pizza today. I mean, anytime you're starting like literally just give food away like that, it's like you're having fun, you're enjoying it, the sport. 7-8, I think they're dangling in there. They're not officially eliminated yet. Zach Taylor's really working with them to try to keep them balanced so that they can try to proceed, forward. There's no measure with them against the Cleveland Browns, who are 3-12. That whole first and second quarter, like the Browns were scoreless all the way up to the third quarter, where they finally got their lone touchdown with no extra point conversion, and then no more scores the rest of the game. Whereas Cincinnati scored consistently the entire game, with the exception of the third quarter. And I think that would have been the pivotal quarter that the Browns thought they had a chance to come back. They're both in the AFC North, both divisional rivals. Coming up, you got Cleveland having this big game this weekend. We talk about the games that everybody's playing on the weekends now once the holidays start kicking off. They got the Broncos. That's going to be a big game on Saturday at 4:30. And then they wrap up with the Steelers on January 5th. So both of those games are pivotal games. They're both competitive games, and they're both going to be games that they have to win to literally stay in. Either one of those losses is probably going to kick them right on out, because the AFC is extremely competitive. So those are my thoughts. And good luck, Joe Burrow and Houday. I don't know what to say about the defense. And I still stand on saying, ever since they got rid of Mixon, it's just been different. I don't understand why he is in Texas at all.
Yeah, maybe it's money. I don't know. It might be because it seems like Cincinnati doesn't want to pay anybody outside of Joe Burrow. So, and this might be a wasted season for them, because looks like T. Higgins is out to be a free agent. He hadn't got paid. Jamar Chase was looking for a redo with his contract. They're gonna have to pay him if they want to keep him.
Come to Carolina. We have money. Come.
Look, T. Higgins is going to be and I'll be honest with you, he's going to get overpaid, because he is the second wide receiver. He's not a true number one. Yep. And his numbers have never been really that good to me. To me, he's going to get paid the same money as what Brandon Ayuk got paid. I just hope he doesn't get hurt like Brandon Ayuk. So, yeah, but he's going to get that money, that type of money, and somebody's going to pay that. I just hope my team doesn't pay that, the New Orleans Saints, because they could use a big body receiver like him, but we probably can't afford to pay somebody like him. But, yeah, hats off to Houday, and I hope that Carolina – yes, Carolina. I hope you're doing what you do. But I hope that the Cincinnati Bengals continue to do what they do and then have an opportunity to get in the playoffs. Look, let's move on to the Titans versus the Colts.
What a mess.
But it was a high-scored game.
It was 38-30. I don't know how they did it. Yeah.
38-30, and Mason Rudolph got another start. He had a kind of a mixed bag. I mean, he kept his team in the game, I think. But the defense couldn't, as good as the Titans defense is, they really could not stop the Jonathan Taylor show. Jonathan Taylor rushed for a big, large sum of 218 yards and 3 TDs. He looked like a 2021 Jonathan Taylor. And, man, he was running so fast. Guys, he was just passing everybody up like Usain Bolt. And he even leaned his head forward like he was going for the ribbon when he scored one of his touchdowns. Look, Jonathan Taylor.
It was Seabiscuit.
Right. He scored 3 times, and Josh Downs caught 61 yards, 1 TD. And Anthony Richardson, he threw for 131 and 1 TD and 1 interception. Yeah, I don't know what to say about him. He's another mixed bag, and this is pretty much his rookie season because he didn't play much last year. He's just not. He's okay. In my opinion, I need to see a lot more from him. But this is the guy that I thought he would be coming out of college. I think a lot of his draft stock went up when he did the combine, and you know how that goes when you're at the combine. You're subjected to be like one of those players. You can either drive your stock up or you can drive it down. Doesn't mean you're going to be the player that people are projecting you to be. And I just think that right now he's okay. He's just really. I'm putting it nicely and saying he's okay.
Yeah, Shane Steichen's been really working with that team. I mean, they're probably gonna. Let's be honest, J Train. They're probably gonna finish the season 9-8. They're probably gonna win out because they're playing the Giants and the Jaguars for their last 2 games. Neither one of those games are gonna be competitive, especially the Giants. They're playing them in New York next Sunday at 1. And then they played the Jaguars to finish out the season in January at home. And the Jaguars don't have Trevor Lawrence. So they're literally playing the same team twice, honestly, because Daniel Jones used to be the former quarterback at the Giants. And they're playing them like back-to-back weeks. I mean, the Colts literally looked like they weren't going to do anything in the first quarter. Then lights out second quarter, 24 points in one quarter. Then 14 points in the third quarter. Then they, took a little break in the fourth quarter. But by that time, they had put up all their points. The Titans did try to put up a lot of points in the fourth quarter and try to come back. Very valiant effort, 15 points, but it was a little too late. Tennessee Titans are now 3-12, and the Colts are 7-8. So they're right below 500. And like I said, they'll probably win out. It's not because they're that good. It's just because of the teams they have left to play are just not good at all. So, like, you expect them to win. And I think they may still be in the hunt. You see me keep glancing. This Patriots Buffalo game is coming down to the wire, believe it or not. I'm shocked.
It's 24-21, right?
Yes, with like 40 seconds left. It's unbelievable. They were the Patriots had a lead, believe it or not. I'm like, is Josh Allen out there? But I see him. Like, what is
He's
happening?
been out there the whole game. They've been shutting him down.
I mean, is he just tired from playing a short week, or what is going on?
Well, they did win 48-42 against a pretty strong team in the what was it, Detroit?
Yeah.
They beat, yeah. So yeah, I mean, but a win is a win if they can hold off and win. Right now, there's game over. They won.
It's over. It's over. It's a wrap. They hung. I mean, literally. But so I picked that game for
Me
Buffalo
too.
to win.
We lost on that spread.
And I picked them to win. So did I win?
No, we lost. We both picked them, but the spread was minus 14. They needed 2 touchdowns.
I didn't even look at the spread. I just don't worry. I'll make sure I win with Tampa Bay and Green Bay. Those games.
We'll see. New Orleans might have to say about that.
I have those games left.
Yeah, that's what Jack's hope is, because he only has one game left, and I mean he's bombed on the other two. Look, he picked the Texans, which we're speaking of the AFC South. They're the ones that's leading that division right now. They only have 6 games. They're 9-6, and so they need 2 more games to go ahead and clinch that division. And the Colts are behind them with this record right now. They're staying in the hunt with a 7-8 record. But man, I just really think the Buffalo Bills. Wow, Josh Allen is just finding ways to win the games. I don't know. I mean, I saw the stats. I mean, it wasn't that great, but a win is a win. You can't deny that.
Wow.
Look,
Vegas won.
Oh yeah, go figure. Let's go to the Lions and the Bears. And everybody picking Chicago. I didn't understand this. Why did everybody pick Chicago? Like the Lions still not that team offensively. I mean, the Lions lost.
It's sheer hate at this point. It's sheer hate. It's sheer hate. They want them to be that.
Jared Goff threw for 336 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs stepped in, even though they lost David Montgomery to an MCL injury. Jahmyr Gibbs stepped up. He got 109 yards, 45 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Jameson Williams, 143 yards, including an 82-yard bomb from Jared Goff and a touchdown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is still that dude with 70 yards and a touchdown. And Caleb Williams on the other side. Now, look, he's been a whole hum season for them, and it's pretty bad for their team overall. But Caleb is looking good. Caleb threw for 334 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions, 34 yards rushing. Keenan Allen, 141 yards. And 1 touchdown. Rome Odunze, 77 yards, no TDs. They get it together if they have the opportunity to get it together, even though they lost today 34-17. And it's their 9th straight loss. I mean, it's their 9th straight loss. If they can get it together with potentially a new coach, I think Thomas Brown might be the guy. He stepped up into offensive coordinator, and now he's the interim coach. He has a potential to get this job. And they get that offensive line in order. I think they have an opportunity to have a really good team next season, but they got to do that, man. You got to get out from under that stigma of being a bad team. You got to get to maybe back, not to the 85 Bears when they had like Walter Payton and Michael Singletary. Yeah, you're never going to get that again. But you don't need that. What you need is what they had was stability. They had organization. They had from top to bottom, everybody in line, knowing their roles. Nobody like Tyreek Stevenson doing some dumb things, that started their losing streak. It's just a lot of things that need to be changed in an organization. But let's flip back over to the Lions. Why is everybody doubting the Lions? The Lions are still in the hunt. They're 13-2 right now. The Eagles lost, so they separated themselves from them. The Vikings are the only team that's really on their tail. I don't know what happened with the Vikings game. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so it is sheer hate, honestly. And today's classic fake fumble play was the best. I mean, that to me just kind of took whatever air that the Bears had left in them and just removed it like right away. That play was amazing. And like you were saying, Caleb Williams not only was ranking really high with his passing yards, but also his rushing yards. Detroit is not like, they are formidable to be all the way. Like, the only reason why we talk about Detroit in a way that's more competitive is because the NFC North, the division they come from, is extremely competitive with the Vikings dead on the hill. Sam Darnold and them are playing absolutely lights out. And let me just see real quick here. Sam, like I said, Sam's been playing lights out. We talk about players going to different teams and just getting much better than previous teams they were with. And the Lions actually beat the Vikings the last time they saw them. They actually beat them last Christmas Eve as well. And so this year, though, the Vikings, like, you got to think, last year the Lions were 11-4. They had lost a couple more games than what they have lost this year. I mean, the season's not over, but for this time of year, they were 11-4. They've just gotten better. And so when you look at the Minnesota Vikings from today and you see how they're playing lights out, they're just basically letting everybody know, hey, we're not going anywhere. Just like when the season first started, everybody was saying that the Vikings were going to be that team and the NFC North as a whole was going to be that team. The Vikings are 13-2. I mean, they had a nail biter against the Seattle Seahawks today, 27-24. But Seattle's still trying to win and stay in. They're only 8-7, but they still almost beat the Vikings. So we talk about this any given Sunday. It could be anybody's game, anybody's day. That was a very close game. And the fact that the Vikings have the Packers coming up on Sunday, a divisional game that they have to win. They have to win. And then they got the Lions. This is a mess. Whoever created this schedule, they said it's AI.
They knew what they were doing.
Mess. This is a mess. You literally have the two teams that they have to win out to stay where they are, playing them consecutively. This is hilarious. This is laughable.
This is why football is exciting this time of the season. I'm loving it right now. We got an MVP race going on between Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, with Josh Allen, man. And it's down to the race because all three of those teams are in super playoff contention, meaning they're all Super Bowl contenders. We also got the Vikings right now. The Vikings, Sam Darnold. I'm not saying he's an MVP candidate, but his team is in Super Bowl contention. Believe it or not. I mean, this is a team at the beginning of the season I pegged to be at the bottom of the NFC North, but here they are fighting for the top of the food chain, and they won 27-24 against the Seahawks. And Sam Darnold still is showing that he's that dude right now. 246, 3 TDs, no interceptions. He's very efficient. Yes. And then with Geno Smith, he threw for 314. He threw for 3 interceptions. 3 TDs, but 2 interceptions, two costly interceptions. And they're fighting for their lives in the NFC West in a tight NFC West right now. And I just think that right now, look, I think that it's going to come down to the wire. These last 3 teams that you just mentioned, especially the NFC North, yikes! It's going to be exciting. I want to see who I think my if I had to use my intuitions, Sonja, if I could, my spidey senses, I think the Lions will win by the skin of their teeth the division. And I think that the Vikings, again, this Vikings, like me and Keith Angle from what's Keith Angle's show? I like to send a shout out to his show.
TGI Sports.
Yeah, TGI Sports. we like to say that the SEC cannibalized itself. I think the NFC North is the SEC of the NFL. They're going to, with these last few games, they're going to cannibalize themselves, and only one team can come out on top. But the other two teams still will make the playoffs because they're just that good. But one can get that bye, and it's unfortunately for the Eagles, they can't get that bye now because I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna lose one of these last two games because Jalen Hurts is gonna be out.
Yeah, and what's good to Almighty Finesse? He says, "Yippee, they get the first pick." I think what is that? New York.
Yes.
Oh, because Vegas won. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, people are fighting to be the worst. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
Well, look, I like that. I like that saying a lot. I know where that comes from.
True.
Yes, but they're trying to get Shador Sanders, or they're trying to get Travis Hunter. One of those two guys is going to be the number one pick. And fortunately for that team, they're going to be a game changer for them. I think both those players are good. A lot of people not too high on Shador Sanders as a quarterback. I disagree with that. I think Shador Sanders has all the talent in the world. He's working with Tom Brady too as well. You don't have somebody like that working with you if they don't see potential. You don't think that somebody like, even though Deion Sanders has a major influence, but I watch Shador Sanders. I watch his game. He processes at a high level, and he can play the game at a high level. I think once he gets, and he showed that. Look, I didn't believe in him when he was coming out of high school with his father. When he got to Jackson State, I said, let me see how this kid plays, because you know all these top great players have sons that play, and they don't pan out. But this kid is panning out. He's finding his own lane. Even though his dad's the coach, he's monitoring him, he's coaching him. He's just as hard on him as he is anybody else. And this kid he's tough as nails. He can play the ball. He can stand in the pocket, take a hit, and he can process and slice your defense up like a cake. I think he really is the number one quarterback in this draft, even though it's not saying much with the quarterback. 2025 is not as good as 2024 quarterback draft stock.
Yeah. And I will say, if Tom Brady's working with him, Tom's going to have to release working with him if he's trying to come to the Raiders, because Tom is part owner of that franchise and he cannot have any dealings. So Tom,
I don't think he's still working with him anymore, but he has worked with him. Yeah.
Yeah. So if he has, we don't want to have a tampering incident. So, that's right up his alley. I'm just saying, and people could say, oh, sign an NDA, so that way you never disclose. That's the way to protect yourself. Tom is probably still FaceTiming him and everything.
I didn't put two and two together. I think everybody was talking about the connection with Antonio Pierce, but it's likely a connection with Tom Brady going to that team.
Yep. I've been thinking that. I just haven't really vocalized that until now. Just like, I remember Tom told him a long time ago, stop doing your sales and all your little clicks and likes stuff. He was doing all this merch that he was selling during halftime. And I just thought Tom was just giving him, some solid advice. I didn't know he was like mentoring him. But now that's coming out, yeah, Tom, you're a part owner of the Raiders. That's what the connection is.
Yeah, this was long before Tom became a owner of the part owner of the Raiders, but
it's strategic because he already had the money. So even though he may not have been on the books as the owner, Tom did not just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna be part owner of the Raiders, because he could have picked any team to be part owner of. He strategically picked the Raiders. He probably got some stuff going on with gambling too, some little investments.
Yes. All right. So now let's move on to Buffalo and New England. That was a very tight, closely contested game. I wasn't expecting that. The spread was -14 for Buffalo. It didn't happen. But Buffalo, again, in a short week, they still got the win. They're now 12-3. I don't know if they're going to catch up on the Chiefs to get that one week bye, but again, just wherever they are, wherever they play in their first and second game, they will have home field advantage likely. If it's not in the AFC Championship if they get there. But with that said, I like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I think he's an MVP candidate. There's potential that Lamar Jackson or Saquon Barkley, whoever wins this, I won't be mad at it because all three are playing lights out. But
This game is
I like to
ridiculous.
see Josh Allen get it because his team looks like I pegged them to be at the bottom as well of the AFC East, and they totally flipped my mind and looked to see what they're doing right now is just unprecedented because they lost a lot of their players at the beginning of the season and last off season, and they're still good. They reloaded and they're really good, and a lot of that is a big part of Josh Allen's play.
Yeah, I mean, this game literally on paper, the Patriots played the better game. Drake May had 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Josh Allen had 154 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So the quarterback comparison, Drake May look like he was the better quarterback for today. The rushing yards, Ramondre Stevenson had 60 yards for the Patriots. James Cook had 100. They both had like 11 and 12 carries and 1 touchdown apiece. But Kayshon Boutte, the receiver versus James Cook, had more receptions, more yards, 95 yards, 1 touchdown, whereas James Cook had only 25 yards and 1 touchdown. This game really came down to the wire. And like I said, on paper, it looked as if, the Patriots, if we were just looking at this and didn't know the final score, we'd be like, oh, okay, wow, the Patriots won. Look at the stats. And they didn't. And so it just goes to show you that these teams, I mean, we really can't call that. You could call a rookie quarterback Drake May versus MVP candidate Josh Allen. And so, we just don't even know. And thank you so much for that, Almighty Finesse. Yes, he is. And I'm wearing his jersey. Shout out to the Panthers. Anybody that ever comes on here and gives Bryce shout outs, as long as I'm on here co-hosting, everybody probably gets sick of me on this platform because I'm going to go right on back and plug the Panthers again. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to Bryce Young, man. I pegged him to be a Drew Brees type quarterback when he came into the league.
Ooh, that's a big, tall order. I hope he is.
Let me say, Drew Brees wasn't Drew Brees before he came into the league. It took a lot of hard work and determination. There was raw talent there. And he was great at Purdue, but he still had, when he first went to San Diego Chargers, he was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't great until he got with Sean Payton. He got better as he went along with the Chargers. But then when he went to New Orleans, I think the sky was the limit for him. And I think the sky's the limit for Bryce Young. If he can get somebody in there, I don't know. I'm not Tepper, but what's the coach's name?
Canales.
If he can work with him and get him going, I think there's a lot of talent there. Build around him, get him some. I mean, look what he's working with and what he's doing with the players that he has. I mean, so if you can get him somebody, one particular receiver that's there, that's like a lights out receiver, a dominant number one guy, man. It's all over, and I hate to say that because I'm in the NFC South with this team, but I like Bryce Young, and I think the potential is there. So shout out to
all these close games that we've been having too. The last time we were like that, the very next season we went to the Super Bowl. So I'm telling everybody right now, okay, next year is 2025. We went to Super Bowl 50. 25 and 25 is what? 50. Watch. Holla at us. I'm into numbers. Holla at us. And I'm turning 50 next year too. So we definitely going. What up, though?
So the Raiders beat the Jags. We don't really have to go into that game except that we know that the Raiders do no longer have the number one pick. Yes, and the 19-14. And so but they still up there. They probably have the number 2 pick. And the Dolphins beat handily the 49ers. 49ers have really just fallen off the map.
Yes.
I mean, I think, look, another reason is not having the true blind side in Trent Williams. Trent Williams is a dog on the left side. Christian McCaffrey was out?
Christian been out.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Christian been out for about 4-5 weeks. He's out for the season. He had some issues with his some injury that's akin to Achilles.
His calf again? No, I know he was out. Did he come back from that? I know he came back from that, but he went out again?
Yes, he went out again.
Oh,
I'm a double check. I know he ain't on the list for playing today.
okay.
I remember when him going back
I'm sorry,
out.
I missed that. I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah, that's why. Let me just double check because that's the last I heard. That was, I don't know, a long time ago. Let's see. Yeah, people's actually asking, why isn't Christian McCaffrey playing for the 49ers and the Dolphins against week 16? They're saying that, the top receiver, this actually came out yesterday. People are saying they expected him to be back. Let me see what they're saying. To make matters worse, the offensive player of the year, they've been out without Brandon Ayuk and without Christian McCaffrey.
And Mason didn't have any stats either. The guy that replaced him, Mason, wasn't even on the charts. No wonder they had problems.
McCaffrey suffered a posterior cruciate ligament injury in week 13 against the Bills, which will keep him out for 6 weeks. That means the former Carolina Panthers star won't play again during the regular season.
Wow. He won't play again this season. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to the playoffs.
Nah. Mr. Irrelevant is definitely where his name is, Mr. Irrelevant.
Brock Purdy, man. And Brock Purdy, he threw for 313 and 2 touchdowns. Look, George Kittle had 106 yards, and Deebo Samuels had 96 and 1 TD, but it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough, man. I think injuries again. Jack said, look, everybody's got injuries, but when your team is critical with playing, Jack's going to have a lot of excuses for everybody. I mean, he's going to be mad at everybody else because his team is supposed to do something. The Jets, I don't even want to get into them losing 19-9.
Just say they lost, and we knew they would lose. With Aaron Rodgers at the helm, they're going to continue to lose. It looked like they was positively playing the first quarter, and I hope you're watching, Jack. We knew they would lose. They're going to lose out the rest of the season. Thank you. Are you talking about Panthers being? I don't mean to talk about the Panthers, but Sonja, they're nothing. They're nothing. Your Jets are nothing. They're jetted up out of the league. Thank you, Jack.
I mentioned that coaching is everything. Now, Rodgers, if he said Rodgers was the coach, look, he wasn't going to outthink Sean McVay. As much as I think the Jets have the better pieces on the field. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams all fall under Sean McVay's rule. I mean, Sean McVay knows how to run that team, and they're in the lead right now for the NFC West, and they're going to win that division if they win these next 2 games.
They're going to win. We got about 1 minute left to wrap them all up before the 8:20 game comes on tonight. Your team.
The Buccaneers versus the Cowgirls. No, it's the Bucs. The Saints play
tomorrow's your team, yeah.
Yes. The Buccaneers play the Cowgirls tonight. Their records are exact opposite: 8-6 the Bucs and 6-8 the Cowboys. Look, I think Baker Mayfield and his team are going to go there. The record down in Dallas is 1-6 at home. I think it's going to be 1-7. I think the Buccaneers go down there and run down their throats, and give them boys another loss at home. What do you think?
I need them to win tonight so that next Sunday they'll be tired and we can beat them. And so
Tampa, right? You need the Bucs to win, you mean?
Yeah, I want the Bucs to win. Anybody that plays the Cowboys, I root against them, except for when the Cowboys play the Falcons. Sometimes I kind of secretly root for the Cowboys because I need the Falcons to just be taking it down a notch.
Yes.
But if they're so far ahead of us that there's no competition, kind of like, I don't know, we're only really like 2 games behind the Falcons, really 3. We're still in it, really. Anyway, I just root for them. But no, I want the Cowboys just lose on out. But I want Tampa to be tired so that when we play them on Sunday that we can beat Tampa.
Okay.
For the season finale. For the end of the year.
Well, I hope you do beat them because we got to play Tampa as well. You play Tampa next week, right?
Yeah, we play Tampa Sunday and then the Falcons the following week.
Ooh, this is gonna be a nice NFC South roundup because we play Tampa the last game, the Saints. So I want you guys to beat them so they can come and try to play us hard. But we're gonna beat them too. Hopefully, we both beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, and move them on down to the number 3 position.
Right. Well, that's it.
That's it, guys. Everybody, we wish you a happy holiday season. J Train, always a pleasure to have me on in the stead of Mac. Mac, we miss you. We can't wait to have you back 100%, 1,000%. Thanks for having me on with you tonight, J Train. It's an absolute pleasure. We will be showing all our shows this week, even though a holiday week. So tune into the Roku channel, Northeast Professional Sports, 24/7 Sports without the cost of cable. You guys have a great night and good luck to your teams.
Absolutely. Good night.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.